In the Unresolved Problems segment tonight, the political impact of Donald Trump's immigration proposals. Former Mexican President Vicente Fox, one of Trump's fiercest critics, has long played politics about a potential visit by the Republican nominee to Mexico.
He is not welcome to Mexico. By 130 million people, we don't like him, we don't want him, we reject his visit. Trump is using Mexico, is using President Peña to boost his sinking poll numbers.
I think it's very important to invite Donald Trump to come to Mexico and to learn about the real Mexico that is, I would think, totally different.
But now that Trump has made the trip to Mexico, will this provide a big political boost to Trump's message on immigration? Joining us now with reaction from Washington, Fox News contributor Mercedes Flapp, and here in studio, political consultant Michael Tobin. So the political fallout. He left that meeting, he hit the podium, he looked very presidential. I got to think that's going to help him politically, right? Poll numbers should firm up?
No, absolutely. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I don't think there's any real policy substance or discussion to be had about this. I think it's all politics, and the politics have really been quite brilliant. He looked presidential. He looked august and appropriate, standing there on the podium next to a world leader, discussing what I think is an unworkable, untenable, and hateful policy suggestion and political suggestion.
Which one? Which part of
the wall? The wall.
The wall is hateful?
I believe it is hateful, and I believe it's an impractical.
Why is it hateful? You know, you can make the case for impractical, but right. Where's the hate in the wall?
I believe it was a sound political judgment to suggest it to get through Republican presidential primaries, but as a policy.
Where's the hate part of it?
The hate is we're talking about the other, we're talking about crime, and I believe it was a vicious code word. All that being said, it was good politics today, and it did elevate.
Mercedes, the politics, the fallout. I mean, he's polling around 20%. I think the last Fox News poll ballpark was about 20% favorability with Hispanics. Do you think it goes up from there?
You know, I think it opens the door with the possibility of more outreach towards the Hispanic community. I think one of the more positive messages that Donald Trump can focus on is on what immigrants who have come to this nation, what they have contributed to making America great. There's so many of these immigrant stories. My father's story, my parents' story, and are just one of them. And I'd like to say that, you know, I think that what Donald Trump did today, going to Mexico, it really showed a very decisive and presidential moment. It was a point there where actually you're starting to see the fact that he is reaching out. It's a mutual respect, wanting to listen, having this dialogue with a foreign leader, with our neighbor. And I think that was a very constructive dialogue that occurred.
So, don't you think he beat Hillary Clinton to the punch? They were both invited. Donald Trump got on a plane and somehow squeezed the meeting in when he had a big policy speech tonight coming out. That sounds like a fairly presidential move, no? Oh,
I think it was very savvy, and I think the poll numbers will show that it was also effective. And I disagree with the State Department and the White House saying, I wish they hadn't done it, it shouldn't have happened. There is no incumbent that Trump is running against. It is an open seat in the White House, and Hillary was invited and could have attended. And let's remember, Barack Obama went to Europe in July of 2008 before his general election to speak, I believe it was at the Brandenburg Gate, and that was generally well received. So I think there is some hypocrisy that this candidate does something somewhat similar and is somehow held to a different threshold.
Mercedes, do you agree with this? Do you think it's a different threshold? Can you equate the two?
Well, I think that Donald Trump, he did this in Louisiana as well. What are we looking at? We're looking at the fact that Hillary Clinton has spent weeks at Martha's Vineyards having these swanky fundraisers. Compare that to the fact that Donald Trump, he's with the people. He goes out to Louisiana to be with the flood victims. Then he goes out and meets with the Mexican president, despite all the criticism of people saying, oh, he's made comments about Mexicans. You know, it's been incredibly effective. And you really have to hand it to the candidate campaign in really finding these opportunities where Donald Trump is speaking directly, not only to Hispanics, but to African Americans. I mean, this is something that we don't see very much with Republican leaders. They shy away from these, talking about, for example, inner cities or Hispanics. And I have to tell you, he's really appearing very much in this leadership role, which I think could work.
Mercedes, Michael, got to leave it right there. Thank you very much. Coming up, the strategic consequences of Donald Trump's plan to secure the border. Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters is here to weigh in. Don't miss this.